Hi, in this video you will see how to configure Spring Beans using with the Java, right? So how to wire beans with the Java. So for that we will see a code sample. This code sample we have already configured the beans with the annotation. So in this project the beans are configured using annotations. So we will convert this into Java based configuration. Okay, so we have classes like we have a car class, and what we do is we will remove all the annotations. And one more thing is we don't need this XML file at all. So if we are going to wire beans with Java, we don't need XML file, so we can remove this application context.xml file from this project, and we will remove the annotation. This component annotation we can remove. We can remove the auto wired annotation, that is also not required. And in the music system class we also can remove the component annotation. So now we do not have any annotation in this beats. Okay, so now what we need to do is we have to create a new class, then Java class we require, and that class will act as a configuration class. Okay, so we can give a name spring config, but you can give any name to this class. So inside the spring config class we have to use one annotation called @configuration. Okay, so we need this annotation. So by seeing this annotation, spring container will consider this class as a configuration class. Okay, so next thing is we need some methods. So we need to create the uh, car bean object. So we have to write one method, public car get car. So this method, inside this method we have to write the logic for creating car object. Okay, so how to write this? Car c equal to new car. Then we need to set the music system object to the car object, so we can call the setter method. So we need a setter method inside the car class. So for that we have to introduce a setter method here. So how to do that? We can take source, generate getters and setters, and select set music system, set ms. Okay, so click OK. So we got the set method. Okay, now inside the spring config class we can call the set method of the car object. Okay, so set ms. So inside this set ms method we have to call a method get music system. Okay, this method will return the music system object, but at present this method is not available, so we have to create a one. So we have to create this create method get music system. So inside this method what we need to do is we have to create the music system object. So music system m equal to new music system. Then we need to return the music system object. Okay, so now, so if you notice, then we need to inside the get car method you have to return the car object. Okay, so if you notice inside the get car method what we have done is we have created the car object at line number 11. Then at line number 12 we call the set ms method. Inside that method we call the get music system method. So get music system method will return you the music system object, and that object will be set to the car object using the set ms method. Then finally we are returning the car object. Okay, so now we are done with the code. What we need to do is next is we have to update the main method. So we have to update the main method. So we have to create one main method, and we have to let us create a main class here. But already we have a main class, so what we can do, we need to make some changes in the main class. So instead of class path XML application context, we have to use the annotation. We have to use the annotation XML annotation config application context. That is the new another flavor of Spring container, and we have to pass the Spring config class into the constructor of the annotation config application context. Then we call the get bean method and we pass Honda. Okay, so everything is done now. Now what we need to do is we have to run this code and see the output. So let us run this code now and see the output now. So we are getting a error message. So the exception thrown is no such bean definition exception. No bean named Honda is defined. What does it mean? The bean object is not created at all. So, but we have done everything here, right? So in the Spring config class, we have made this class as a configuration class by using the configuration annotation, and we have a get car method. We have a get music system method also. But since we haven't done one important thing, that is we have to use a bean annotation. So without bean annotation, this getCar method will not be called by Spring container. So by seeing the configuration annotation, Spring container will create the Spring config object out of this class, but it will not call the getCar method at all because this method doesn't have the bean annotation. So we have to introduce the bean annotation. Okay, and we have to give the name. We have to use the attribute called name because we need to give the name to the object. Okay, because that name is used inside the main class, so you have to give a name as Honda. Okay, so this name is actually given to the car object reference, car object instance. So that is actually used inside the main class. So when we call the get bean method of the context, that is Spring container object get bean method we are calling, and we pass the name of that car object instance. Okay, so here it is Honda. So for that purpose we have to give the name attribute. We have to use the name attribute and we have to give the value as Honda. Okay, so now one more thing is we have to import this bean annotation. Okay, so now everything is done. Now what we can do is we can run the code once again and see the output. Okay, see now the playing music text is printed. This is because inside the main class what we have done is we call the once we get the car object by calling the get bean method, we get the car object instance. Then we call the play music method of the car object. So inside the play music method of the car object we call the play music method of the music system object. So inside the music system class play music method we are printing the playing music. So that is how we can uh, configure Spring Beans or wiring the Spring Beans